My folks cut me off after CIS. That's what I call my ex now. Blame me for our split. Then, out of the blue, I get this email with receipts, proving I wasn't the bad guy. Almost 7 years back, they showed me the door when I was just 22, not even close to being financially set. CIS, she's always been high maintenance, went and pointed fingers at me for her marriage crumbling. I was 29, still figuring stuff out. My sis, let's call her Angie, was 37, light years ahead. She tied the knot with this guy, let's call him Jack, 3 years before the fallout. Jack and Angie called it quits after 3 years, all because she accused him of cheating with my buddy. Now, I was crashing at my folks' pad after college, trying to save some dough. They were cool with it until Angie's meltdown. She bursts in bawling her eyes out, blaming Jack for stepping out, then throws me under the bus for introducing my friend to him. My buddy, let's call her Kate, was just trying to shed some pounds, and Jack, being a nutritionist, lent a hand. And somehow Angie twisted it, saying Kate was his side piece. Like, seriously? Jack adored Angie, always raving about her. I couldn't wrap my head around him cheating. But did anyone ask for my side? Nah, they just bought Angie's tail, hook, line, and sinker. Well, guess what? I'm not taking the heat anymore. My folks just took Angie's word and showed me the door. Angie storms in, throws a fit, and next thing I know, I'm out on my behind. I tried reasoning with my folks, but they weren't having any of it. They threatened to boot me out if I didn't scram. Lost my fam, my roof, everything. I was a wreck, sobbing on the curb with all my stuff. Took me hours to get it together and crash at a buddy's pad. Tried reaching out, Nada. My folks had made up their minds, pegging me as the bad guy. Mom and Pop even said they were disgusted with me. Like what? I didn't cheat. They blocked me, shut me out, threatened to call the cops if I showed up. It hit me hard. Angie was always their golden child. I was just a tag-along. Should have seen it coming, I guess. But who'd have thought it'd blow up like this? I never saw it coming. The whole darn mess. But you know, hindsight's 20/20th. Spent weeks trying to make sense of it all. But with Angie and my folks giving me the cold shoulder, I hit a brick wall. Couldn't even reach out to Jack. He cut me off too. Angie and Jack, they hightailed it out of there, left their old place for their folks' digs. No way to get through to anyone. So I turned to Kate, my last shot at the truth. We weren't tight, but desperate times, right? Sat her down, asked her point blank, was Jack cheating story for real? Kate shot it down, said it was all baloney. Showed me pics, talked about her steady guy. More believable than Angie tale. Knew she was lying, just didn't have the proof. Had to face it. Couldn't go crawling back to my folks empty-handed. Hurt like hell, but had to keep moving forward. Found myself a pad, threw myself into work, kept the lights on. Kept me sane, you know? Life went on. Climbed the ladder, popped the question to Kate, my rock. Then out of the blue, got an email spilling all the beans. Turns out Angie was the one playing dirty, not Jack. And get this, she was cozying up to my buddy Dan. Angie spun this yarn, pinning it all on me. Outrageous, right? Dan was just trying to make a name for himself in music. Never saw it coming. Jack caught wind, confronted Angie. She threw me under the bus, said it was all my fault. Can you believe it? But now, truth's out, thanks to Kate post online. Jack reached out, spilled the beans anonymously. Strange move, but I get it. 7 years later, and the truth finally sees the light of day. Life's a roller coaster, ain't it? It was all a big lie, and I had no clue that Dan and Angie were up to something shady. Jack was furious when he found out, and he blocked my whole family, which he now admits was a dumb move. He was so mad, he didn't even think it through. He spilled the beans to me in person, keeping the email as anonymous as possible so it wouldn't come back to bite him. But I pieced it together. The proof he attached was a bunch of screenshots of emails between my sister and Dan, talking about how they fooled Jake in making plans to meet up. She even used her middle name in the emails, a detail not many folks know. I had her dead to rights. I figured Jack sent me the email after scouring Angie Facebook friends. My gut said it had something to do with social media, and when I found Dan in her friends list, I reached out. We met up, and he spilled the beans about what Angie L. had told the family, thanks to Kate who met him a while back. I asked her to keep quiet about my side, and now I regret it. If I hadn't, Jack would have known ages ago. They bumped into each other, got talking, and Jack wanted to tell me the truth but felt weird about it. If Jack wasn't so easily embarrassed, things would have been easier. But I forgave him, because I needed his help to take down my sister. She'd lied to my parents for financial support during her divorce, and she threw me under the bus, because she knew one chat with Kate and I'd know the truth. I couldn't believe how selfish she was. She never set the record straight, and my folks just ate up her lies. She knew if they found out she was the cheater, she'd be toast. Well, now it's out, and I'm going to use it to ruin her, just like she ruined me. I found out my folks still lived in the same place after all these years, so Jack and I showed up unannounced. Mom opened the door, but we didn't waste any time. Dad and Angie were there too, but the reunion didn't last long. Dad started threatening us right off the bat, but I told him to hold on till he saw what we had. They looked confused, but Angie looked like she was going to hurl and made a run for her room. Jack laid out the divorce papers and the emails while I spilled the real story. He also told him how Angie had to give up Grandma's ring because she couldn't pay up after the divorce, being a teacher and all. The ring was just the icing on the cake. My parents were already shook by what we spilled, and that was the final straw. We watched as Dad demanded answers from Angie for all her deceit, and even when faced with overwhelming evidence, she still tried to squirm out of it. Dad promptly showed her the door, packed her bags, and kicked us all out. I didn't need telling twice, so I left with Jack while Angie begged and pleaded to be let back in, just like I did years ago. This was karma at its finest, and I couldn't be happier about it. It's been a few days since then, and Angie showed up at my door demanding I fix things with our parents pronto. I don't know how she found me, but I told her I owed her nothing. She wrecked my life once, so I repaid the favor. She broke down, calling me a monster, but I shut the door and tuned her out. I don't feel an ounce of remorse. I just put my headphones on and drowned out her drama. After a while, Angie finally left, but not before leaving a nasty message on my door. She thinks I'm the villain, but all I did was tell the truth, unlike her. What do you guys think? Was I wrong for getting her kicked out 7 years after she accused me of ruining her marriage? Update: Angie's still harassing me, even after a week. I had to threaten her with the cops before she backed off. I don't know how she got my number and address, but I'm not interested. She's trying to guilt-trip me about her finances, but I'm not buying it. Our parents are just as bad, if not worse. They found me on Facebook, saw my engagement post, and now they want back in my life, even expect to be invited to my wedding. They haven't apologized yet, but they want a front row seat. Kate and I have a good laugh at their texts, but it's sad. Update 2. Angie showed up again, so I called the cops. She threw a fit, but got taken away. I pressed charges and left for work, not letting it ruin my day. I knew our parents would bail her out, and they did. Then they had the audacity to text me, acting like they did nothing wrong. It's laughable. They knew what they were doing, but that won't change what they put me through, throwing me out on the street. See that my parents had yet again sent me another long message. Kate and I went through it together, and I swear this was the funniest thing I've ever read. I guess the poor folks don't even know that I'm not even hurt by anything they say or do. Now I'm just laughing at how delusional and pathetic they are. Apparently, they still believe that we're family and told me that they've taken Angie back in with them and have decided that both their kids deserve a second chance, as if I'd ever been in the wrong at all. So while they'd taken my sister back in, they also expected me and Kate to come to their house sometime soon for dinner, and so we could sort out our differences in a civilized manner. Before the wedding, bold of them to assume that I'd even want them at my wedding in the first place. We had a good laugh about their stupid message, and after that, I wrote right back saying that I wasn't interested in the slightest in anything that they'd invited us to, and was just fine living away from them like I had for these past 7 years. They'd shown me that I was better off without them, and I was forever going to be thankful. For that, I didn't need them at all anymore, and neither did I want their so-called forgiveness, so they could peacefully continue to play happy family with my sister, like they had been so far with that last text. I blocked them once and for all because I didn't even want the laughs anymore. I was done, and I was out. I'm sure they'll try to get back in touch with me one way or another soon, but too bad for them. I'm not having it anymore. Kate is the only family I need now, and I'm happy with just her. My parents and my sister have, unfortunately, never been able to look beyond themselves, and I highly doubt that they ever will. So the next time they get in touch with me, they'll be speaking to my lawyer as well, and that's a promise.